Hey everyone, this is the Love of Cinema podcast. We like to talk movies. If you like to talk movies too, you come to the right place.
And there is a reason why Khan Saab himself says that it is my favorite film also. In a career like his, where so many films could probably be his favorite films, but it is a film that whose rights he has bought it and kept it for himself, and he believes that in that film so much, and they all kind of, and Gauri Khan kind of designed costumes for him. The film, then he later on kind of insisted some producer to buy. He only charged 25,000 rupees. All of these trivias later on we've read and all. So there is a reason why he himself probably is also Sunil in his own life.
Shah Rukh Khan, SRK, King Khan, Khan Saab, Raj, Sunil. That Sunil whom you keep rooting for till the end. That Sunil who doesn't get the girl in the end, in spite of all his charm, in spite of his undivided love for her. Sunil of Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa. For me, Shah Rukh Khan will always be Sunil. And Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa will always be a special SRK film. This is Himanshu, and you're listening to the Love of Cinema podcast. I have often said that Shah Rukh Khan is a habit, and Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa can be the gateway drug to that habit. Here's why I say that. By the time Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa released, SRK was already a bona fide star, with Deewana, Bazigar, Dar already behind him. Raju Ban Gaya Gentleman too had released by then. So we already knew that we were looking at a special talent, someone who's going to be here for a long, long time. But the SRK we got to see with Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa was something even more special. We got to see and realize that this mega charmer was much more than just a special talent. He was a disruptor, a game changer. And that's why, if you asked me to recommend a SRK film to someone who's new to the actor's work, I would recommend Kundan Shah's Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa, where you get to see Shah Rukh Khan, the actor, not the star, in his full glory. You get to see why he's special and why he made his way into hearts of 90s kids for good. A film with an absolutely smashing cast, a cast that delightfully screams 90s. Suchitra Krishnamurthy, Sadia Siddiqui, Deepak Tizori, Ashutosh Govarikar, Rita Bahaduri, Kuruj Debu, Anjan Srivastav, Ravi Vaswani, Satish Shah, Virendra Saxena, Nasuddin Shah, Tikku Talsania, and of course, Goga Kapoor in arguably his greatest cameo performance. A film with one of the most cherished soundtracks of 90s. Kundan Shah's work always had heart, and there was always a timeless charm to almost everything he made. Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa is no different. It's a film that brims with feel-good vibes and has a beautiful simplicity to it. Something which was characteristic of Kundan Shah's work on television too, including Circus, the 1989 television show starring Shah Rukh Khan. I think Shah and Khan brought that terrific chemistry they shared as collaborators on Circus over to Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa. To talk more about the film, I'm delighted to have a guest with us today whose work relays similar good, honest vibes, and he shares a similar fondness for Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa as so many of us. But before moving on, as always, a quick request to all listeners of the podcast. If you enjoy organic conversations centered on Indian cinema, Love of Cinema podcast was created for people just like you. So do consider subscribing. Independent podcasts like this one don't have a platform ecosystem for amplification and distribution. Independent pods rely on amplification through its listeners. So if you like the episode, please share the episode on social media. Also, do take a minute to review and rate the podcast. that would be much appreciated. Back to today's episode. Hardik Mehta, who wrote Trapped, wrote and directed Kaamyaab, and directed Ruhi and Decoupled, joins us to talk about why Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa is so special, what the film means for so many 90s kids, and what's it about Shah Rukh Khan that stands out across generations. We also chatted about ancillary Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa stuff, like how Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa was the genesis of the recurring shooting star motif in Shah Rukh Khan films. I'm a fan of Hardik Mehta's Kaamyaab and its honest storytelling, and the lovely montage of Hindi cinema's character actors at the end of the film is something that gets me misty-eyed every time I watch it. Hardik talked about the many connections Kaamyaab shares with Shah Rukh Khan and Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa, some which you might know of, many which you might not. Join us as we fanboy over Shah Rukh Khan and Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa. Come for Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa. Stay for Hardik's dope impression of Sudhir from Diwar and Satya Pe Satta. Here goes. Hey Hardik, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Thank you so much, Himanshu, for inviting me to your podcast. I'm very happy to be here.
I'm so glad to have you, Hardik. This is an utmost pleasure to talk with you because I have loved your work, especially Kaamyaab and The Affair. And I absolutely love those two. And I know today we are going to be talking about a different film, but thank you so much for coming on the podcast to chat with us today.
Thank you so much. In fact, the film that we are going to talk about has a very strange and interesting connection with Kaamyaab. So I'm very happy to be here, and thank you so much for the appreciation on the work. Yeah.
You're welcome. So, Hardik, like you said, I wanted, I couldn't possibly have you on the pod and not talk about your lovely film, Kaamyaab. So I know, like I said, we are going to talk about Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa today. But before that, would love to open our conversation by chatting just a bit about Kaamyaab and your love for Hindi movies. So,
yeah. I mean, love for Hindi movies is something that is very, like, in every other every other child in India growing up, cricket movies is part of your mainstream. So there's nothing very different in that. But I think, where I kind of made an interesting transition was basically I was being trained as a dairy and food technologist, B.Tech in Anand, Amul Wala Sheher, in Gujarat. And from there, nobody had thought of actually transitioning to filmmaking. So I kind of took a leap of faith and did all the stuff that is possible to ensure myself and land up in the Hindi cinema world. And I didn't even know whether I'll be a filmmaker or a good filmmaker or not. But yeah, I mean, it was a risk worth taking because the age was on my side. And and there was some ambition put into it. So yeah, I mean, and as a growing up kid, you watch all these 80s, 70s key films which used to come on Z Cinema, Star Gold, and most of them, unfortunately, during those times were such cliche movies. After a point of time, they always had that same revenge plot, Baap Ka Badla, matlab, then there would be in fact, the villains were much more interesting than the heroes because
True,
the villains have very, very different kind of characteristics, and heroes would be the same, the same hero's journey hota tha, So then I used to keep noting all these people who were always behind the villain or the hero ke dost, and some of these were always very, very peculiar, and they had some of their takiya kalams. In like Gulshan Grover used to always come up with takiya kalams, like seeti baja ke or ghee laga ke, tel laga ke, I don't know, something like that. Some of them were really, even Shakti Kapoor sir used to have some of these really fantastic takiya kalams, and after watching the film, that is what you would sometimes remember. And when I came to Bombay, I assisted in Lutera and Queen, and I started with another film called Road Movie, which is a small film with Abhay Deol and Satish Kaushik. Dev Benegal was the director who actually got me from Delhi to Bombay. I was studying in Jamia, and Dev Benegal came for a workshop there. And Jamia Masscom is a very good institute of Masscom, and so kind of he gave us a little bit of idea of what to do from script to screen, and then he kind of liked me and said, okay, you come on the set and stuff like that. But yeah, while assisting in Bombay, I actually saw some of these actors who I have grown up watching. And they were actually in a BEST bus or auto rickshaw or outside Warsaw, sometimes actually catching a glimpse of theirs. One such actor I actually met in a BEST bus, and he was fighting with the conductor for some 5 rupiah change. And I was like, yeah, he was Aishwarya Rai's baap in that film, or he was Amir Khan's associate in that film, and he's in BEST bus fighting for 5 rupees. And I got very curious about him basically, and I kind of मेरा bus stop था भी नहीं, but I kind of got down and chased him, and he was kind of very like, why are you chasing me? What do you need from me? It was almost a scene out of Ed Wood where, this guy kind of chases Bela
Right,
Lugosi
right,
and
right.
says, Bella, you must be so busy. And he says, what busy? I have nothing to do. Like, when your next picture coming out? And Bella Lugosi says, I have no next picture. So it was almost a scene like that. And then I thought that, and he kind of later, as I kept meeting him again and again, he kind of opened up. And he used to call me only after 2 o'clock in afternoon, because he said that 2 o'clock तक मुझे पता चल जाता है कि आज कोई shoot के लिए बुलावा आने, if any shoot is going to happen or not, or if not, then you can come and meet me because I'm going to be free and you can pay me something. He would ask for Guru Dakshina and stuff like that. I could understand his financial position wasn't the greatest and all, but that kind of gave me an idea to, and I was fascinated with these characters. Like when we watch Mohra, Tridev, if you watch Gali Gali Mein Hai, which of course is one of your big passionate, I mean, the song that you are absolutely passionate about, and so is true for me, because I really enjoy the cutaways in Gali Gali Mein, because
Absolutely,
there is like,
gold, pure gold.
there's gold like Tej Sapru, and there is Dan Dhanova and Sharat Saxena and Raza Murad, and like amazing stuff is happening. Like, so all of them had their peculiar look and expressions, and also. So I used to be fascinated with those guys, and then I thought, why don't I kind of combine this and try and make a film about it, basically. And I wrote Kaamyaab, and it of course, first film has its journey. I wrote it today and tomorrow it gets made. It never happens. It took 5 years to kind of start to writing script, because you kind of also learn the craft of screenwriting and stuff like that. And then kind of Kaamyaab got Kaamyaab slowly started shaping up. And earlier Phantom Films was supposed to produce, because I had assisted in Lutera and Queen, and I kind of knew Vikas Bahl and Vikram Motwane very well. But later on, I was very glad that because of some issues that they couldn't put the film together. So Drishyam Films, which at that time was doing some superb work with Masan and Newton and Aankho Dekhi and Amrika and all of those films. So I thought, if they had picked up, so it was very interesting again. And Kaamyaab had another 2 years of its journey just in the making. Like, after getting made, you won't believe, Himanshu, that we actually shot the film in 28 days, but it took almost 2 years for the film to release, because we had made the film, then we kept going on to film festivals after film festivals. And because it was a film which was not like, so to say, a mainstream big film with lead actors, action sequences and songs and stuff like that. So it had to kind of, have its indie heart beating. A year and a half later, Red Chilli saw it, and Shah Rukh Khan Saab saw it, and that became like a huge turning point. And yeah, that's why I'm trying to come to Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa also in this way.
Yes, definitely.
Because what actually happened is that when Kaamyaab got, when Kaamyaab was wanting to theatrically release, so we were looking for kind of, who should we support, who should we ask for support, kisko kahe, please share our trailer, please, this kind of stuff that, kind of is required for marketing your film. And then when Shah Rukh Khan came on board as co-producer and presenter, I read in the marketing campaign that, the first tweet will be done by Shah Rukh Khan and the first poster will be launched by him, the first trailer. And I was like, damn, we don't need to ask anybody for help now, because unless you are living under the rock, there are chances that you will hear about this film, because Shah Rukh Khan is going to write and talk and tweet about it and all, and that was such a beautiful gesture that life gave us. That is something, it's the kind of day that you almost remember forever in your life, and Shah Rukh Khan hosted a premiere for Kaamyaab, and all of us from Drishyam Films, Sanjay Mishra, Deepak Dobre, Alisha, Talwar, Sarika, the main cast, all the technical team, everybody was so overjoyed for a film that wasn't releasing since 1.5 years, and only going to festivals where people were hearing good things about, okay, yeah, it's a nice film, it's a beautiful film, this, that. But I was like, I want Indian audience to watch it. It's the grammar of the film is so Indian, and only an Indian at heart or South Asian people who know Bollywood cinema can relate to something like Kaamyaab, so yeah, I mean, and then he hosted the premiere for us, and at the premiere night, when we kind of thanked the audience, and Shah Rukh Khan came and told the audience that if you like the film, talk about it. And I was telling everybody to share word of mouth. It's very important, marketing, this, that. And Corona was also coming, 2020. So we actually, unfortunately, had only 1 week in theater, because 6th March we released and 13th March everybody started closing, shutting down the theaters and all. But one thing that Shah Rukh Khan said, which was actually very funny and very heartwarming, that seeing Hardik's energy of to talk about his film to the audience, I am reminded of my first film, Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa, where actually I was standing outside GT Galaxy and telling people that please come and watch our film.
Wow.
Please come and watch our film. So I was very, very touched by that. There is almost a very strange connection to this beautiful, beautiful piece of art that Kaamyaab is. That Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa also is. Kaamyaab is a piece of heart, and Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa is piece of art. Yeah,
Kaamyaab is also a piece of art, Hardik. You're too modest.
Thank you, yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that is, and you won't believe when I say this, Himanshu, that the first ever gift that I gifted to my then girlfriend, who is now my wife since 10 years, was a Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa CD. So yeah, it is.
How cool is
very
that?
Uncanny. It is very uncanny, and I told this to Khan Saab on the premiere night also, that I think there is some strange cosmic connection that has happened in a way, because we were studying in Jamia, me and Akanksha, and it was basically exchange of films, or that's how film students, mass comm students start kind of engaging in conversations, and then the long evenings go to night, and chai ban rahi hai, Maggie ban rahi hai, and filmon ki baatein ho rahi hai. And then one film that kind of represents my life, or I feel so touched by that kind of a gift, I had to give it to her. So I thought I'll give Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa ka CD, and that kind of became and now actually, yeah, Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa, I think Red Chillies, Shah Rukh Khan later on bought also the rights, and
yes,
the film he owns it.
Yes, absolutely. That's a superb story, Hardik, and
yeah,
I really love that. And before we move on, I just want to thank you for that lovely montage at the end of Kaamyaab, and it's it's difficult to not watch that without getting teary-eyed, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful montage for where you thank everyone from Dhumar and Lalita Pawar to Yunus Parvez and Ashraful Haq, Rajesh Vivek, Mahesh Anand. All these faces come in front, and unfortunately, we are not. Hindi cinema doesn't kind of do its bit of paying tributes after character actors have left us, and I shouldn't say it doesn't do its bit. Some people do, but maybe we should do more.
Yeah.
And this
I think in a strange way, Kaamyaab came at a very right point of time, because post 2020, the series and the digital boom has started to happen in such a huge way that it is no more the scene that character actors are not being appreciated. Now they are actually being appreciated. Because in fact, you won't believe that when I was shooting Decoupled, the other actors' dates we weren't getting, and we had to manage there because they were actually so busy right now, and the leads would of course commit themselves fully to a project, but the other actors are being in demand everywhere. So I thought that if Kaamyaab would have come in 2022, it would almost have been irrelevant, but it came right at that cusp where that the things had just started getting busy. But yeah, I mean, the yesteryear actors, they actually had a lot of struggling and a difficult time in a way, but then they are also part of our memory, and the memory of so many of Indians who have grown up on this cinema and these characters.
Yeah, and you also had that lovely dedication to Vijukote at the beginning of the film.
Yes.
And I was sold right at that moment because, I am a Maharashtrian, so I grew up on a lot of Marathi cinema. And so Vijukote was a big part of all Marathi films, obviously.
I kept meeting him actually.
I
kept meeting him during the research of the film a lot. Because after I had met that actor who I had met in the bus, then I thought that it can't be just a junior artist film. No, I have to kind of make the differentiation, because junior artist is okay. They are after a point of time they are emotionless. आज कौन से shoot पे जाना है, कौन सा है, मतलब but then character actors are much more attached with movies. Even 4 दिन का काम है, वो 1 साल से wait कर रहे होते हैं. 4 दिन का काम है मेरा, मतलब so it's for them. So which is why Viju Saab has been like a legend, मतलब with so many films and so many kind of experiences. So his actually idea, his one experience that he told me, actually I put it into Kaamyaab, which was that Sanjay Mishra goes and dubs for Avtar Gill, and then later on Avtar Gill realizes that mera dub kar diya. Viju Kote actually ended up doing something like this because Sanjeev Kumar Saab really begged him that कि Viju तू आके कर ले, वो एक पुराने एक्टर है, वो मिल नहीं रहे हैं, उनका पेमेंट आया नहीं है, पता नहीं क्या प्रॉब्लम है. And Viju Saab was like, अरे संजीव बोल रहा है, मैं कर देता हूँ यार. So because of that, Viju Saab actually ended up doing that dub, and then later on that actor turned up to his house and said, how dare you do that. So yeah,
truth is stranger than fiction. Yeah.
True. So,
and Hardik, is it accurate that Sanjay Mishra's character is loosely based on Sudhir?
Sudhir in a way, because Sudhir is somebody I am so fascinated about. I almost kind of imitate him so many times in life, the way he used to speak in Shahenshah and all of the Zehrile and all of these films, I was like so fascinated by.
Give us your favorite impression. You got to give us your favorite impression.
Yeah. In Diwar he says that मैं तो कहता हूँ रवि को गोली से उड़ा देते हैं, something like that.
Love it.
Because then Amitabh gets really angry because Ravi is supposed to be his brother Shashi Kapoor, and this guy is Jaychand kind of a character, loose cannon, who just says that and then in Satya Pe Satta he basically suggests that चलो लड़कियों को उठा लाते हैं, something like that. In between प्यार में किस मोड़ पे ले आया. So I was like, यार Sudhir is again so close. Like I actually went to meet Sudhir sir also, but he was not keeping well at that point of time, and somebody told me that he had a bungalow in Lokhandwala. I went there, then he said no, he's not keeping well, so he's at his nephew's house in Worli. So I tried to go there also, but then वो ऊपर नहीं जाने दिया, and the nephew was very kind. He said that you've come here all the way, but he's not actually well, so you can't meet him, but I'm really sorry, this, that. So I was like, yeah, it's okay. But yeah, so Sanjay Mishra had to be named Sudhir, because also Sudhir is also very common name for a lot of character actors. From this Sudhir to Sudhir Pandey Saab, who is such a brilliant actor, Sudhir Dalvi, who used to always be Sai Baba for some odd reason in our minds, So yeah, Sudhir was just the correct name there. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Because I read somewhere.
While we are at it, I just want to mention that somebody only like Sanjay Mishra could have made Kaamyaab possible. Otherwise, Kaamyaab wouldn't have been what it is today, only because of the genius of that man. He just poured his heart and life into that character. Just the fine nuances, the balance that he got, never extra, never too subtle also, that you kind of don't register also. All of those things. He did it so well, and he just owned the film so much and participated in that process. Not like, mujhe kya karna hai? Like, he was fully invested into this.
Absolutely. Sanjay Mishra is just a solid actor to begin with, and
he is the reason actually Kaamyaab was selected for Red Chillies in a way, because I'm sure Khan Saab must have seen the film, and he remembers his time, because at the premiere party Khan Saab and Mishra ji were talking about their old times of Fir Bhi Dil Hai Hindustani, Oh Darling Ye India, and then Dil Se and what not. And Mishra ji used to tell that कि हम तो शाहरुख खान के नाम पे वहां से कबाब ले आते थे, क्योंकि इधर कबाब वाला also used to give that कि भाई हाँ शाहरुख खान की फिल्म शूट हो रही है, जाओ आप. So some of those like really funny instances. It was such a pure joy. Life का सार्थक होना was to be there, standing amongst them. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing all that. And now, without further ado, let's dive right into Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa. So, Hardik, why don't we start out by you telling us why you chose this particular film to talk about today?
I think a film is very important in a way in what time of your life it comes. I was very, very young, 7, 8 years, 9 years maybe, when Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa must have released. We used to all watch Filmfare Awards, which used to be such a thing, no? In evenings, we used to all, and then Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa got the critics best actor. And that year itself, Shah Rukh Khan got the best actor for Bazigar also. So Bazigar we all had seen, and Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa hadn't released it, and yet he had won best critic. So मतलब it was almost like कि मतलब अरे फिल्म ही रिलीज नहीं हुआ, कौन सी फिल्म है ये, हमें पता नहीं है, or something like that. I remember. And then later on it got released because of Bazigar and Dar, but also because this film was already, Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa was already shown to the jury, and the jury had kind of given best critics or कुछ तो ऐसा था, I don't exactly recollect, but it came on television. Of course we never saw it in cinema hall, but later on, I think couple of years later or 1 year later, it came on television, and just the innocence of Sunil's character, the fantastic music, the ensemble. But I think the whole philosophy of this loser Sunil winning our hearts in such a brilliant way. One of the things, the dialogue that I still remember, or I mean, it's often, and it's not like boy tab se remember, but we often, whenever you kind of are lost in your life, you always go back to your favorite films, and it kind of inspires you to do some good work. It inspires you, it leaves you with that fuzzy feeling. And Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa always ensures that I am laughing while I have tears in my life. When Nasruddin Shah's character says that, Sunil, तुम हमेशा खिड़की से क्यों आता है, पहले दरवाजा क्यों नहीं ट्राई करता है, it is exactly the upbringing of our middle class boys has been, because पहले तो झूठ ही बोलना है, मतलब first we just try to kind of do it in a way where we kind of find a quick fix rather than actually following a procedure to find a solution to something. So that is exactly what touched me so much, that this Sunil is so like me. Sunil is exactly what I feel in life. And of course I also knew that I am not cut out for engineering or what all other my batchmates were doing, my friends who were actually very, very, very bright, and I was not even a failure, but I was not even a great, like I was somewhere in between, and not somewhere in between, somewhere in good between, not the bad between also. So the good between is always kind of figuring that कि भाई मैं top 15 या top 10 में हूँ, but top 5 में तो नहीं हूँ, और last 30 में तो हूँ ही नहीं, मतलब so where do I stand, what exactly do I love in life. And Sunil's passion for music was so well underlined. That whole cabal of actors, the brilliant ensemble that Kundan Shah had kind of put together, the philosophy of the film was so good at heart, that whole genre was so, even when he's lying, there is not something that there is something that will change, or that whole genre will change. In that genre, that lying was also so beautiful, which is what really, really makes Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa such a special film. And there is a reason why Khan Saab himself says that it is my favorite film also. In a career like his, where so many films could probably be his favorite films, but it is a film that whose rights he has bought it and kept it for himself. And he believes that in that film so much. And they all kind of, and Gauri Khan kind of designed costumes for him. The film, then he later on kind of insisted some producer to buy. He only charged 25,000 rupees. All of these trivias later on we've read and all. So there is a reason why he himself probably is also Sunil in his own life. That somebody who might lie for a certain reason, but is so good at heart that you can't ignore that. So and all of that music, wo to hai alvela, those words were so beautiful. Like that I also always used to feel that कभी तो मेरा बाप मुझे ऐसे हक करेगा, like that my father will feel that कि
Right.
तो लकड़ी सदा समझा किए तुम, पर इसके नगमों की धुन कहाँ सुन सके तुम.
Right.
So
Excellent lyrics, yeah.
so those are all the kind of, when we boys are trying to, or we kids are trying to transition our lives from what we have been systematically told to do, but we are kind of trying to change that. Sunil is that guy who we latch on to, like when we don't know where to go in life, then probably Sunil will. And not like Sunil had a great outcome out of it, but he was so good at art that he,
Right.
when he hears that Anna and Chris actually love each other, and whatever I have done, I have, in all my scheming and in all my Petrebazi, I have been able to win her. but at the same time, that wouldn't be the love that she would want. What she wants is most important. So I think that's why so many reasons that Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa probably is such a beautiful film, and it also reflects about those times. You can't make a film like that today, and because people would say that, I mean, come on, yaar, how can that happen? How can you just suddenly Ravi Baswani's character hates Shah Rukh Khan, I mean his whole hates Sunil, and then suddenly he's okay with that, and the critics and all of that. Today the whole world has changed so much that innocence of Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa is also something that we still latch on to. So yeah, I mean, there are a lot of reasons.
Absolutely. That's a great point because, one of the things that I felt this time when I rewatched the movie again for this particular episode is that, it has a certain vibe to it that feels like the old Doordarshan shows of mid to late 80s and early 90s. And of course, because Kundan Shah has a lot to do with that because, he was there and he did those shows. But that innocence, that positivity, that magic, which is something that we don't see that often today.
Yeah.
And
so heartwarming.
Yeah, absolutely. And another reason why I love this film so much is that even today, I mean, even after the kind of career that Shah Rukh Khan has had and the kind of mega star that he is today, this film screams that this guy is a disruptor. He's different. He's one of a kind. He's going to be different than most of the actors of today. And that the film is able to do even in 2022 is just amazing for me.
Yeah, that whole combination of being so charming, so witty, also at the same time so innocent, heartwarming. I mean, those kind of things don't come together in a package. You kind of try and see in somebody, and then maybe we've grown up also, maybe we know the insides of the film industry now, so it could be a whole different thing. But I think there is a certain charm to that film. So much, like, and I remember after Kaamyaab, Anjan Srivastav sir called me, and it was almost like a coming of like, life coming full circle in a way that Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa mein jo pitaji the, उन्होंने actually मुझे call किया है saying that what a great film you made, and I was in tears by the end. And then Anjan sir's daughter also had a word with me that how much he got touched, and Rakesh Bedi sir called, and he loved so much, and so many people of that era also who actually the film is about. So yeah, again another strange Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa connection, but yeah. And in that Anjan Srivastav's persona, you see the service class father, which we all have kind of seen around us, or probably have our fathers in that shape. So it means so much when he is so happy about, like, he actually is so gullible. I mean, in today's day and age, you can't make a character like that when वो जाली marksheet लेके आता है and he says that कि economics में अरे यार मतलब जो लड़का 3 साल फेल हुआ था वो पास हो गया, like, and then that whole thing that Nasruddin Shah says that you have to go and tell to your parents, and he basically tells the truth, and then he's so heartbroken, and his whole anger is so jaez. That it was just like that's and I don't as I also did watch the film 2 days back, and I also realized that that is actually quite in the end. I always used to think in my memory that is somewhere in the middle of the film, and then there is much more to the film, and then the film kind of, but I realized that uske baad to Ana ki shadi, and they are preparing, and then suddenly the turnaround also happens and all,
right,
which was again is so much, it works not just as a love story also, but so much as a coming of age also, as a father son story also. And Anjan sir's character doesn't have so much running time in the film actually, but yet there is such a great coming together of the father son relationship, and the son coming back to the family and all. So yeah, it kind of is the film also happens to work on multiple levels, apart from friendship, love, and then parenting and all of that also.
Right. And let's talk about Shah Rukh Khan in early 90s for a minute, because,
Yeah.
Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa is after Deewana, Raju Ban Gaya Gentleman, after
Yeah.
Dar and Bazigar, of course. And so Shah Rukh was already, becoming a star, because I think after Bazigar and Dar, he was pretty much a bona fide
Yeah.
star.
Yeah.
But, even then, again, he's able to sweep you off the floor, with his charm once again. And
Yeah.
he has been doing that since then, for more than 2 decades now. I mean, even in Zero, which I love to bits, by the way. So, he keeps on doing that, and it's just amazing. So, two questions, Hardik. First is, what are your early memories of watching a Shah Rukh Khan film? If it was some other film that I am sure you had watched, all these films before Kabhi Haan Kabhi Na. And secondly, what do you think it's about Shah Rukh that kind of sets him apart? Because there is something definitely different. There's so many stars, right? We have Amir Khan, we have Hrithik Roshan, we have Amitabh Bachchan, we have had stars before that as well. But what is it about Shah Rukh that just sets him apart?
I mean, from what I remember of my memories of his films, I think there was a the look, as everybody must have right now written Bibles about, is basically very unconventional and stuff like that. But I think there was a certain charm to him. Even when we used to watch Circus and Army, I remember Circus episodes used to come on television, Doordarshan. I think 9 o'clock Sunday night or something. And Circus may also, he was so effortlessly charming. There was no extra attempt to make you something, but of course he had his mannerisms, that mannerisms which were unique, but those mannerisms weren't being trying to do anything extra. They were more like that is a part of his personality which would come in every character, whether he's a villainous character or whether he's a teenager or this kind of affectionate guy in Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa. So there was the charm used to be there in his personality, and in the films that he was doing. And that probably was one of the reasons, and of course he was a risk taker. He could take any kind of risks, from Bazigar and Dar, which probably is also till today. I think till like if you watch his recently produced film Love Hostel, it is such a big risk in today's environment.
Great
It
film. I
is
loved
such
it.
a
Yeah.
risk that has been pulled off in such a style, and of course the director Shankar Raman has done a fantastic job. But I mean, you would expect that Shah Rukh Khan probably would put his money into some commercial film like Kaamyaab would still be a safe bet for him, that it is a indie charming film, but let me put in. But Love Hostel is completely a risk in that way. So I think that risk taking ability in him has been quite there. And actually in the 80s, as I was telling you, when we were growing up, we were watching all these films on Z Cinema and Star Gold and all. The hero had to be hero, so a loser kind of a character like Sunil wouldn't make sense for any hero to pick it up. In fact, I read one trivia which is actually very interesting, that Amir Khan was supposed to do Kabhi Haan Kabhi Na, and Shah Rukh Khan was supposed to be the Deepak Tijori's role.
Yes.
And Amir Khan and Juhi Chawla were supposed to, because they were a hit jodi after Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak and Dil and all of that. So I was like, wow, what a turnaround, because he's the kind of guy who would have a nazar on a good script and say that कि अच्छा जैसे ही इसमें से hero निकला, I'll be that hero. So I think what he did inside the film with Chris, that कि वो आना तो बहुत लड़कों को घुमाती है और फिर उनका पतंग खट से काट देती है, is something what he did in his own life also with a film like this. That it's almost like a very meta thing that he did inside that film, what he did to achieve this role and this film also. And I mean he also comes from this school of very very well read, very very aware, and his sense of humor is also so self-aware in that way also,
Definitely.
and
Yes.
such smart retorts. I mean, you can actually watch a whole day of YouTube videos of Shah Rukh Khan's smart retorts, and that was quite visible in the kind of people he was choosing to work with. Whether he in fact, you will be surprised if you know that his first role was in Which Annie Gives Those Ones, which is a
Yes.
School of Planning and Architecture mein Arundhati Roy and her friend Pradeep Kishan they were making that film, and he was just a background actor in that. And so he was choosing just the right. He was choosing Aziz Mirza. He was choosing Kundan Shah. He was choosing. I remember. I think Manikal also. He did some work with Manikal. I don't exactly remember. But
Yes.
yeah, I mean,
Yes.
look at these people were at that time the indies. what we today, when Anurag sir and when in 2010 around, all these guys came into picture with an Udan or a Love, Sex or Dhoka, and Khosla Ka Khosla, of course, earlier, and how even Abhishek Chaubey made his first film, Ishqiya. So how these guys, this gang was there, is exactly how in the 90s these gang was there. So I think it was a very, very interesting decision for him, so to say, as an outsider, to kind of latch on to with the right talent and the people who will nurture him further. And yeah, I mean, which is why he probably did Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa in just 25,000 rupees. And as I was reading the trivia also, that people in all the actors, and that whole, if you read that book about Jaane Bhi Do Yaro by Jai Arjun Singh also, Kundan Shah's films have been like picnic, but no actor demanding anything. वो चार जनों के बीच में एक लिम्का आएगा, and they are all happily sharing with that limka. And that one shot they are taking, that वही shot है, उसमें कोई दूसरे takeaways नहीं, cutaways नहीं है, like that shot on the crane when DeMello is talking about where they are talking about the building contracts and 24वां 25वां मंजिल बनाएंगे, this that. So I mean, yeah, so I was reading that वो गोवा में कभी हाँ कभी ना all actors were staying in some hotel with 150 रुपया rent per day and stuff like that, and I'm sure they must have all been enjoying, because Nasruddin Shah at that point of time was doing actually very, very big films. Tridev and all, he had actually a great film career in parallel cinema. He had already done Tridev, probably might be doing Vishwatma at that time, and he was ready to do a small character role of a father, and that brilliant line that he always had, that idhar jao sab rasta God ki taraf hi jata hai. It's the kind of thing that I still in Bombay, Himanshu, I have a filmmaker friend who is always roaming in Andheri with his car, and I always feel that he is that in that usme walking Nasruddin Shah is that Goa ka angel roaming in the Goa streets, and here is this Andheri ka angel who is always roaming with his car, and he half the time he ends up giving me lift कि भाई कहाँ जा रहा है, क्या हो रहा है, and then I always tell him that अच्छा इधर जाओ उधर जाओ, रास्ता गॉड की तरफ ही जाता है. So yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of guys, Ashutosh Gowarikar amongst them, and they were such a great group. I mean, it's the kind of world that you would want yourself to go into, and like उस world में कोई मुझे invite कर ले, I would want to be a part of that film group and just be around those people. It would be so much fun, the process of making film and creating something like this. Suddenly I remembered that song Aana Mere Pyar Ko Na Tum Jhootha Samjho Jana. The way it was choreographed today, I don't know how, they will consider ये musical genre है, तो इसमें ऐसा होगा. People will start getting into logic of it कि yeah, you can do something like that, but then the genre will have to commit itself. इसमें तो एक बीच में coming of age love story में एक musical गाना डाल दिया था, जिसमें वो inspector भी गा रहा है and church की वो nuns भी गा रही है, and मतलब it was like in between that, and everybody enjoyed that song so much. Like,
it fits right in, yeah.
Yeah, that whole Goa culture is so beautifully captured. In fact, it is also Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa also happens to be an essential Goa film. The beauty of Goan people, their charm, their heartwarming nature. Big that Simon वो bakery चलाता है, ये garage चलाते हैं, and there is this Hindu Catholic. And there is an Imran also, which is Ashutosh Gowarikar, so there is this whole multicultural society, and that vibe of Goa is also so beautifully captured. This film couldn't have been set anywhere else, actually, in India.
Yes, yeah. The band is completely racial. The windows. Yeah. Even what a name, that Windows, right? I mean, it's a play on the doors, and I just love that name. So, that's Kundan Shah. And
much later in life, that is much later in life, I realized that Sachi Hai Kahani Hai Sun Lo Meri Jaan is actually the song that comes from Rasputin, and that Inzaire.
Yes.
Which you later, that is the beauty of Bollywood sometimes, that you later on realize that कि अच्छा ये गाना वहां से लिया था, but also because it was a musical number impromptu, performed by Sunil and gang. So you can understand that वो थोड़ा यहाँ से लिया होगा, थोड़ा वहाँ से लिया होगा. But इसलिए I used to think that I hope वो तो है अलबेला कहीं से लिया ना हो, क्योंकि that's such a pure song, and I think it is a very pure song. It is not taken from anywhere. It is an original Jatin Lalit song. So yeah, I mean even that moment in that song is done in such a musical fashion, with scenes being recreated of Godfather, almost like this kind of a life that would, and a Don who actually cries is something that you will never see in any other Hindi film, which won't be spoofy. Here it was done in such a real way. In fact, Himanshu, my Instagram profile is Goga Kapoor's
picture from Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa.
No, the dialogue.
Note mat karo. Feel it. Feel karo.
Yeah.
That's a great dialogue.
Life's essence, मतलब, कि जिंदगी को नोट मत करते जाओ यार, feel करते जाओ.
Absolutely. And that's a feeling you get with this film too, Hardik, right? I mean, it's a film not to be just watched. It's a film that you need to feel, and it's great. I mean, just from the opening scene, right? When Shah Rukh Khan is cruising downhill by the church on the bike, and later on, they're going to tie that in with the dream sequence and what's happening in reality at the end.
And bike shots and bike scenes come in such a great phases. It shows him the anticipative, the desperate, the really happy, the really sad, all kinds of phases within that bike is also done so beautifully, which in itself is a film, matlab, that Shah Rukh Khan on bike. But yeah, in fact, I remembered one more thing which is very related to Kaamyaab. When I was researching for Kaamyaab and character actors, Goga Kapoor is one of those guys who has a very, very interesting trait in Hindi cinema, that he has a record of him playing Goga the character maximum number of times. So every time he would play a character in movie, it would either be called Goga or something, but most of the times it would be called Goga, and that is a kind of a unique record for an actor to play a character with a name which has been used multiple times, that he himself has put, because I mean, you can't get more cinematic than Goga, right? So Goga Kapoor, and of course his actual name is something else, but he just came to known as Goga Kapoor. And Goga Kapoor otherwise is such a you would feel horrifying seeing on his face, or he was part of Z Horror Show, and this villain, he was of course Qayamat se Qayamat tak, he was such a deadly father that he played and all, and him playing this kind of a role in Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa was such a change, and such a change that you had never anticipated him to play something like this.
And he has some of the best lines, like we said.
Yeah.
Note mat karo, and then koi to sala bahut sad hai yaar.
आसपास में.
That's a great line.
And he says that कि ये और अच्छा मार्कशीट लाया है, इसमें सब में 100 में से 100 है. And then Satish says ये एक और लाया है.
Once I tweeted out, Hardik, asking people what's their favorite bit from Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa, and Ritesh Batra replied saying that it's the mark sheet with Goga Kapoor.
That's true. That's very true. It's like after everything is over, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's such a beautiful way of looking into life and cinema also, which Kundan Saab has done it in such a genuine way. I think actors kind of knew the warm director Kundan Shah so well that everybody would just want to participate with him. कि यार मतलब क्या पैसा की बात करना है, बस डेट्स ले लो यार, चलो करते हैं कुछ, मतलब I think you can see with that kind of cast and those people coming together. I did Shah Rukh Khan and Kundan Shah work again ever? No, after
No, I don't think so. No.
Yeah, I think he did Dil Hai Tumhara.
Yes.
Kya Kehna and
Kya Kehna. Yes. Yeah. And then after that, he did one film which I think it was called something Prime Minister or something. That was his very last film. And I think actually he never finished it. Somebody else finished it. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, Kundan Shah's films, like Jai Arjun Singh says in his books, it's a big picnic. But the passion is so much in that, it kind of translates into this fun kind of a picnic, It's a hustle, but it's a fun hustle. Everybody's trying to get that picture done, but it's a fun hustle. And that has been going on since Jaane Bhi Do Yaro.
And you miss that in today's day and age, you miss that because not like they were all like faffing and time pass ho raha tha, because they were also pushed against the wall when it came to budgets and, number of days and all of that. But somehow, today you feel like, I mean, because after Kaamyaab, I have done some more work, and like with Kaamyaab, we had that idea that, okay, yeah, we are really enjoying it, but still there was this pressure of first film to be done in certain days. And, so somehow that whole, I mean, where do we get such a big group to everybody, like, believing in you and like, okay, yeah, go ahead and do it. Like, like this getting 14-15 actors ka dates only is going to kill you in today's day and age, where they were actually having so much fun, and there was so much earnestness in the way every character was. Nobody's bad in Kundan Shah's films. No, there is nobody bad, and that is exactly. I think it also comes from Rishikesh Mukherjee's cinema, that that nobody is villainous or some. There are situations that can be, but even in Kundan Shah's film, situations were also so. They were like mildly उनको मतलब वो निपटा देते थे, मतलब कि हाँ ये बहुत बड़ी बात है कि उसने झूठ बोला है, but सुनील तो दिल का अच्छा है ना. So like within 5 minutes the transition has happened actually.
Yes, absolutely. And I was going to say, while we are talking about Kundan Shah, we should also probably touch on Pankaj Advani, who was another great writer, and he remains largely unsung. I'm a big fan of Sankat City and Professor.
Professor, oh, what a film it is. Unbelievable.
Those are, I think, modern classics, if you ask me, at least in my books, and not too many people have seen those films. But Hardik, what can you tell us about Pankaj Advani's writing and his style of humor, his style of story?
I think Pankaj Saab and Kundanji had a great rapport in that way, because I think to look at world through a very eccentric, humorous lens, when you see Urf Professor and you see that there is a hitman who is given a target and then वो अपना चश्मा भूल गया है, it's the kind of a situation which is straight out of a Guy Ritchie or a Tarantino film, as we now say it. They did it then. At that time, I don't think so. They had seen Tarantino or Guy Ritchie or these filmmakers who would come with so much of practical humor. And that whole Urf Professor's scene where वो लाल वाली बिकनी है या ब्लू वाली बिकनी है or something like that, where he is basically the hitman has forgotten his chashma, and the whole, of course, opening Suhagrat scene and all of that. It's wacko, and how, like, I don't know how did they get away with it? Like, कि अभी भी उसकी copy available है. It almost felt like, matlab, they did it in such a brave fashion. Now, of course, with OTT, there is, of course, a lot of more abuse and this and that, and everything is allowed. But it was not in that film. If you see, abuse is not for the sake of abuse. It is used in such a humorous fashion that it is a part of the language of the characters and that world. So
it's true to the world and the characters.
Yeah, the situation itself are so funny and so original. That it never felt that they were derived from foreign film, which sometimes you can see today. अब तो foreign film से derive नहीं करते, अब तो remake कर देते हैं, तो officially हो जाए. So but yeah, so I think that way of with that lens, when you look at life, I wish that I can borrow something from that, or I wish I gain that kind of a lens to see some of these eccentricities, which we try and see, but we also try and put it onto paper, put it on the film, and have it celebrate it on celluloid, because now what has happened is also because everything also script, and they are like, no, ye A to B, B to C, C to D hona hi chahiye, a script has kind of become a mathematical output of something, so sometimes you kind of lose on some of these things, or you kind of don't find a way to put these scenes together, because individually they might be funny, but how to kind of put them cohesively so that the plot makes sense, but unfortunately these times are there because you are against so many things. You are against so much competition and all, so you feel like, yeah, you can't just let it go like that. You have to give a meaning to this and give a logic to this, and then only it can, unless, Akshay Kumar can get away with anything, because Akshay Kumar actually can bring certain kind of a sense of humor which is so funny sometimes that there is no context sometimes also, but because it's a good joke, he can actually pull it off, and because he can do it, producers will agree also, because it's Akshay Kumar doing it. If you watch Good News, I was watching the other day and I was laughing so much of some of his eccentricities that he has done in the film, which that okay, it is somebody who is really enjoying the process of making a film like this. And kudos to the director also, of course, because they kind of put together in such a fantastic fashion, and kind of sometimes it is easy that actor ne kar diya but edit mein aap remove kar dete ho and stuff like that, but no, they have kind of put a cohesiveness to that whole madness that is happening in Good News. And actually what is happening in Good News is so today in terms of what is happening to urban couples and especially in metros and all. So yeah, I mean sorry, we kind of swayed away there.
No worries. Be happy to digress.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean there's this whole idea of something can be done without thinking so much about the repercussions. That Yashpal Sharma's scene of like ye phone mein haan baat kar rahe, ye phone mein, and then he puts the two phone together and like kar lo baat yaar. Now logically it is not possible. How can somebody talk like that if I put two mobile like this? But the film is such, the world is such that you actually kind of enjoy. And then that whole, I still remember that opening scene of I think he lights this cigarette. He does an aarti and then he lights a cigarette from there, and then the camera pulls wide and you see that there is a bar jiske bagal mein wo mandir hai. And if you do it today, you will be screwed. You will be put into jail. That kind of a scene is done.
There are demonstrations and protesters.
And nobody is disrespecting anybody by doing that scene, right? Because the intent of filmmaker is so like not wanting to hurt you in that hurt a religion or hurt any religious thing. It is just the lens that through which they are looking, which is so funny. And often we all do, because Bombay mein ghar itne chote hote to bar bhi rakh diya, mandir bhi rakh diya. So yeah, I wish that is exactly why you miss Pankaj Advani, Kundan Shah kind of voices. Somebody from their generation who still does take beautiful pangas, and I really love his films, is Sriram Raghavan sir.
Yes, absolutely.
Whose films and whose world you always look forward to. Yaar, kuch to maza aane wala hai isme. So yeah.
And going back to Pankaj Advani and Kundan Shah's co-writing, they're such great writers, I think, with such an awesome range, where they could write those fabulous, like layered scenes, like the climax at the church, or the wonderful, like silent film, like almost Chaplin, like, opening dream sequence at the church.
Yeah.
And they could also come up with things like the windows and write stuff like Note Mat Karo, Feel It, Feel Karo.
Yeah.
And my other favorite line is Town Chhod ke China jana padega. That was awesome, and that's like pure Kundan Shah kind of humor. It's great, and it's like a throwaway line, but it fits right in when you add the name, the name of the club, and
the character like Tiku Talsania, who is a bar manager Patel, like and it's again Tiku Talsania is that guy whose presence mere is a stamp of something really nice, like something that you will make your very hard, tough day, very jovial one. His just whole approach to acting. Actually, Tiku Saab has been part of such immensely amazing, legendary films. Andaz Apna Apna Le Lo, ya Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa Le Lo. That whole range, like So yeah, and then yet him getting concerned when that mark sheet thing happens, you feel like, no man, if Tiku Saab is getting concerned, then the matter is serious.
There has to be something there, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some of our favorite moments from the film, Hardik. I know we have been doing this pretty much on and off, but I really love the wedding scene at the church. The
Right.
exchange between Shah Rukh Khan and Sadia Siddiqui at the end, when he's
Beautiful.
trying his best to put up a happy face.
Amazing.
But finally, when he looks at his sister, he starts to break down and almost.
Who has actually seen from after the first dream sequence, the first thing that seen is that कि economics में भी आना, biology में भी आना, इसमें भी आना, maths में भी आना, and then she exchanges the look. Oh, what a beautiful turnaround.
That's such a sentimental scene. And again, Kundan Shah used to do that so well. I mean, even in a film like Jaane Bhi Do Yaro, and the sentimentality is done so well that the humor is still there. It has its place, but so do the sentiments. So, it's an example of that. Another scenes which I'm a big fan of is like all those scenes where, Sunil is playing the music when he's sad. Such terrific scenes that, he's essentially, retreating to his music. I think there are at least two that I can think of. One is at the beach when he's playing
I think one of the other really favorite scene of mine is basically when he has lied in the carnival and then Deepak Tijori arrives there.
Yes.
And that scene, if you see, it's a very heavy duty conversation. It is a kind of a conversation which can get ugly any moment, yet the innocence of the characters is such that ke tune kab bola, like they are still trying to rectify each other rather than concluding that ke, you are a liar, you are a two-faced this guy. No, that scene never gets into that kind of until and finally when Anna really gets to know the truth, she goes and then she kind of slaps him. But before that, there is a 4 to 5 minute conversation which could have easily, within 30 seconds of writing, you can go ugly in that. Of course the guy has lied. We all know that he has lied. And it is just these guys have caught him red-handed, to kind of, push him against the wall. No, now. But no, it's still kind of, that whole conversation keeps going that I said this, then you said that. It is only because the world and its characters are so innocent. That is why that conversation can go on for that long. In any other film, that conversation you cannot have for that long and you would say that, yaar, cut kar do na, ho gaya. Seedha thappad padna chahiye usko, But no, it doesn't happen so easily. So, which is again, logically, it might be incorrect also. But in that world of film, in that character or within that framework of that film, that scene and that argument was so correct. Chris wouldn't be so gullible to say that ke wo Canada जाके वो पागल हो गया और राहुल जिसको उसने धोखा दिया था and then मेरे साथ भी ये खेला है but then Chris kind of does take in because he is so committed in his story. So if you see this film individually, who has no idea about the history of this film and Shah Rukh Khan and the Goa and that Kundan Shah and all, for them it would feel like these two guys must be mad to talk about a film for this long. Like why are they even talking about this film for so long? But that is the charm of Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa. In fact, I remember another shot where basically that song ends, no, क्यों ना हम मिलके प्यार करें. उसके end में they basically, Chris and Anna have come together and they are almost very close to each other. And Patel and everybody comes and says, what a great performance. And then they all come together. But the camera pans to Sunil where he goes in the corner and he's presented the whole song. But he's not a part of the group who is being congratulated. Plus, he has the double whammy of seeing these both so close to each other and looking into each other's eyes and all. So, again, it is a shot that you remember that, it was performed so earnestly.
Performances are great. Absolutely. I mean, there is not a single performance that's off note, I think.
Yeah.
It's perfectly like on the money. And
actually, that is one of the very important things in filmmaking, Himanshu, that I have realized now when I make films and especially casting, that, not a single performance should be off note because it's a very risky thing. You don't know when you are casting. Sometimes somebody can be very easily you can think that okay, yaar, he's perfect or she's perfect, and then when you land on the set, and then what is the tonality of the film, because they have only come after 4 days of shoot has already been done, or the lead actor already knows what the pitch of the film is, and here is somebody. So to kind of control that is one of the most challenging things as a filmmaker, that to have all performances so seamless that they all look and convince you that this is the world, and they add so much to the authenticity of that world is what, because I mean, especially in a genre like this, because I also kind of do the same slice of life comedy heartwarming genre, so I have to kind of performance is so critical in a film like this.
Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa is also the genesis of the whole Tutta Tara motif in many SRK films.
Yeah.
Motif which you would come to see in so many films. And this was the first film where we got to see that. And that's like it has a separate fandom of its own, now that.
Very true. It is a film that basically got this whole Tutta Tara into mainstream language. And I think Shah Rukh Khan later on repeated in a couple of other films also, no? Om Shanti Om, of course.
Yes. There is also Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, Rab De Madadi. There is also that.
Yeah. So I'm Tutta Tara. I think is phenomenon only.
Yeah, he once said that. I think he has said this on record that not Tutta Tara thing, but he has said that if he runs in a film, it's successful or something like that, right? And even in Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa, we see that in the dream, when he's dreaming, he's actually running in the dream. He's like doing like cycling in the bed when he's about to get up.
In fact, Kaamyaab's earlier title, one of the working titles was Tutta Tara.
Oh, wow.
Tutta
Okay.
Tara. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, because I didn't know what to give the title. Often all filmmakers, when they are writing their first script ban jati hai, screenplay ho jata hai, matlab, shoot bhi ho jati hai, फिर title नहीं बन पाता.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, Kaamyaab had interesting, important sound to it, because it was very retro also, and at the same time, it kind of fit into the character's journey also.
Right. It gives closure to his journey. Right? Yes. Hardik, what about the music of the film and the lyrics? Majroo Saab's lyrics.
Of course.
Oh my God! Toota sitara to manga tha Rab se, tujhko hi jana wafa, jo toot jaye tare tamam, mangu wahi ek dua. So many unbelievable.
Yeah. So I mean, that whole Hindi songs had such nice influence of the Urdu, which you never felt Urdu also. You never felt that this is Urdu. Actually, you felt this is all this while you thought this is Hindi only. The way Urdu words and poets have actually put into Hindi film songs in such a beautiful way. Especially Majroo Saab during that phase, late 80s, early 90s, so he was doing phenomenal. At least, I mean, he must be doing amazing in the 70s and 80s also. But from my knowledge of what I knew, Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak, Jo Jeeta Hai Sikandar, Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa, and all of this had so much of these very easily, they were not a difficult poems. They were very easy, like Aana mere pyar ko na tum jhoota samjho jana. When I first heard, I thought Anna, like, come here, because we didn't know the character is called Anna.
Yesterday my wife and I, we were talking about the same thing. And I said, next time I go to Goa, I'm going to see if the locals really call Anna. I really want to find out, because I don't know if they do. They might, I don't know. But,
because
that's
the songs used to come on those Philips Top 10 kind of thing, no? So songs always have come first in Hindi cinema. So you later on realize that, to mujhe laga Anna hai mere pyar ko, matlab he's calling her here or something like that.
Yes.
That, and of course I think the most beautiful song of the film is Wo To Hai Albela, which is such a beautiful song. And I think later I read in trivia that they wanted to call the film Albela, but they didn't get the title because it was with some producer and all. But that is why the song was composed Wo To Hai Albela Hazaron Mein Akela. And then Sada Tumne Aib Dekha Hunar Ko Na Dekha. So Aib, for very long time I didn't know what it means.
No, same here. Yes.
Yeah. But again, a word that is so easy. It's a very easy to say, easy to sing. It didn't feel like some kind of a complicated word. Sada Tumne Aib Dekha Hunar.
And you could again, the beauty, like you said about Majroo Saab's lyrics, is that if you knew what Hunar was, you could probably, extrapolate that. Okay, This is the, the antonym of that. So it's the opposite of that. So that's
and in fact, even the whole storytelling of Sachi Ye Kahani hai. There is no poem, no nothing. The story part of it, because the song is a story, actually, that ke Rozi ke liye jahan jata wo ठोकर ही सदा वहां पाता वो. It is also done in such a playful words, and yet there is so much magic attached to it when you sing along. It is actually a song that you can, after a couple of beers, friends are together, you can actually
get in the mood and sing that. Yeah,
that kind of a whole feeling that can happen.
The whole album is great. It's vintage.
Six amazing songs. All six amazing songs. There were.
It's like an essential SRK soundtrack, right? I mean, just like the film, we would say it's an essential SRK film. Absolutely, that this is an.
I think Jatin Lalit also played such a big role, no? In
absolutely,
like from DDLJ.
Raju Ban Gaya Gentleman, yeah.
Raju Ban Gaya Gentleman, Yes Boss.
Kuch Hota Hai.
My God, amazing. So I used to all have these cassettes basically, because Jatin Lalit was there. In fact, I was actually one of the ones who was disappointed that Rangila mein Rahman won the Filmfare Award and Jatin Lalit didn't win it.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
I mean, of course, Rangila was amazing and clutter breaking, and I also loved the songs. But because I had been following till now Jatin Lalit's journey, कि भाई Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa hai, मतलब all these films, मतलब जिसके लिए they have been scoring so well. उसके लिए मिलना चाहिए था, rather than, मतलब it almost felt like DDLJ is an award for cumulative good soundtracks that they have been coming for with, and Rangila felt like कि मतलब यार ये कहीं से आगे ले गया, मतलब award, like Filmfare used to be such a big thing, and now when we get nominated we feel like ठीक है, मिला तो ठीक है, नहीं मिला तो ठीक है यार, मतलब but at that time it was like life and death, even when we are not even involved. For us it is just one Sunday evening that we are giving.
Right. And every song in the film is so skillfully, woven into the story and feels so organic to the narrative. It doesn't feel like, although the songs, like you said, are like part fantasy, part like a musical kind of a thing, but it's still, they fit just right in. It's just tremendous.
In fact, there is no need if you see the plot of the film, there is no need for them to say that कि वो आज शाम को गोवा जा रही है, तू कोई बीच पे जा रही है and तू उससे वहां पे मिल लेना. So Shahrukh Khan then basically starts a song आना मेरे प्यार को ना तुम, क्योंकि वो he is basically trying to get them to understand कि यार ये गाना बना लो, ये better रहेगा, और वो बोलते हैं कि भाई तू भाड़ में जा. And then cut to, they could have easily story wise cut to the bar, Chinatown, where उनको वो पत्थर पड़ रहे हैं, बकवास गाना गा रहे हैं, and then this guy comes and turns around. But instead there is one whole song in between. Like, and nobody minds. Now when I try and look at it analytically, I feel like ये song की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. But इस song की मेरे जिंदगी में कितनी ज्यादा जरूरत है यार, फिल्म में तो छोड़ो, मतलब So it is, and all those, even now that I recollect, all those t-shirts of his were so very proper solid colors. Yellow full, blue full, green full, like that his whole costume was only so simplistic.
And it's terrific. I mean, even that, I don't know if this was all planned or something, but like you said, he's usually wearing like blue t-shirt and jeans, and it kind of stands out, like, when the rest of the band members you see, they're all like wearing like multicolored kind of a thing, and he kind of stands out. So that theme is always there. It could be, I could be reading too much into it, and probably Kundan.
In fact, now I remember when you were talking about favorite scenes, one of the favorite scenes of mine, which I always used to feel that I should enact in my life, is when he basically gets that marks and he sees that newspaper, and then he puts that newspaper, on his face, like, he kind of buries his face inside the newspaper. I used to always think that कि यार मैं जिंदगी में ऐसा कुछ करूं, फेल हो जाऊं या कुछ हो जाऊं, लेकिन मुझे ये करने को मिले, मतलब कि मैं न्यूज़पेपर ऐसे कर लूं, मतलब and then I was like यार हम तो पास हो जाते हैं, like फेल भी नहीं होते, कैसे करें ये, मतलब But yeah, once in college I did that paper so badly, that question paper, when I came back to my hostel room, then I kind of did that almost like Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa, kind of reliving that feeling of what failure could be like.
The magic of movies.
Yeah.
Looking back in 2022, Hardik, what do you think is the film's legacy?
In fact, now one more thing I remembered. One thing that Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa missed is having Binod Pradhan as cinematographer. Because Binod sir was shooting with Kundan Shah everything. From Jaane Bhi Diyaro to Circus mein, Circus mein alternative episodes were done by Aziz Mirza and Kundan Shah.
Right.
So Kundan Shah's cameraman was always Vinod Pradhan.
Yes.
So I think Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa missed Vinod Pradhan, because I mean it's still a very well shot film. It's still a very good looking film, everything. But Vinod sir is Vinod sir. I've worked with him on a Bollywood major film called Mausam, and I really cherished seeing him doing that lighting. Not that I understood any of it, but just what goes into making a visual so beautiful and so adhering to the story also at the same time. So I mean that is one thing that Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa should have had also.
And finally, Hardik, is there any direct or indirect influence on you as a writer, storyteller that this film has had? I'm pretty sure there is something indirect, but has there ever been an instance of direct reference?
Yeah, I mean, my first script, which never got made, was actually very inspired from this film, and it was basically about 3 fathers and 3 sons. Set of different age groups of parents basically, and different age groups of boys, and they all live in the same locality basically, and the 3 stories kind of cross each other. And it was basically when Amit Masurkar, who's the director of Newton, asked me that why do you want to make this film. So I told him that because I have never been able to hug my father. And he was kind of surprised. He said, "Acha?" I was like, yeah. And it was he was curious about it. And I said that, I mean, I come from a conservative household. So for us, hugging a father never happens. So that wo to hai albela moment is such a hangover in life forever. That you feel that, how can you recreate this into your cinema? I hope and I wish I make that film, or I try and do something about it. But yeah, I mean, that was and then Vikram Motwane had read that script and he absolutely loved it, and he told me that I'm going to produce it. And somehow I kind of didn't perceive it further, and in between I got this opportunity because I found this boy and I made this documentary called Famous in Ahmedabad, which won the national award for me. So I'm happy that that didn't happen in a way, but yeah, it is still in the corner of our heart. Yes. That I'll try and get that made. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, you were asking something about 2022, Himanshu.
Yes. So I was saying, like, now the film is like from 1994, right? It's films age with over the years. I mean, Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa has aged relatively.
You know what? Kabhi Haan, sorry to cut you, Himanshu, again. But Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa was actually being shot in 1992 because last couple of days back when I was watching the film, in that song Aana Mere Pyar Ko Na, Shah Rukh Khan is hiding behind a electric pole and there is a banner ke wo food festival and some Goa something, and it's written on May
right
1992. And I was like, अच्छा ये May 1992 में बनी और release 94 में हुई है. So much like Kaamyaab, which got made in 2018 and 20 में release हुई.
Another parallel, yes.
Another parallel, yeah. Yes. So,
and that's why I think Shah Rukh keeps on referring to it as his first film, maybe, because it wasn't really his first film which got released, but maybe he had started working on this, prior to the other films. Yeah.
Very true.
And anything else, Hardik, that you would like to add?
Sorry to
no, please.
Ask question that you were asking from 1994 to 2022 now that the film.
Right. So my question was essentially, I was just saying, films age over the years, right? And Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa is the kind of film that has aged well. Looking back, what do you think is its legacy? What do you think is its everlasting charm? Because every film, we live in such rapidly changing times. People are always trying to pick apart, dissect this thing, if this is still woke, this part is still valid or not. But I think Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa kind of stacks up well. So yes. What would you say is its everlasting legacy, its charm?
I think its everlasting legacy is that every time the new set of fans that Shah Rukh Khan keeps gaining, in the new generation, they would always want to go back and look at his first film or what is his most special film. And in so many interviews, he has said that Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa is his most favorite film. And thank God he's won Best Critics Actor for that also. And he owns the rights of the film also. And I wish it never gets remade.
And that is what you just said right now is so important, that he owns the
yeah,
rights to the film, which is
yeah,
the most important, because, Kundan Shah is gone, probably Shah Rukh is the
yeah.
next person who should own that.
Yeah. So the legacy probably is that while now we all his fans wait for the Shah Rukh 2.0 kind of coming up with his new films and that range of directors that he's working with. So the new fans that will come, or even the international audience that of course is already a huge diaspora, and the Germans and the North Africans, and you won't believe Kaamyaab's first print went to Trinidad and Tobago. And I was wondering, why is the first print going to Trinidad and Tobago? Because of course he has
A
so
fan
much
base
weight
there.
there, and his produced film is going to release first there, because the print was getting made and एक हफ्ते पहले ही वो print चला गया, मतलब एक हफ्ते पहले कोई print भेज रहा है. So this whole group of people who are going to rediscover him, or even when 100 years later, when we all would be no more and there will be a new generation of filmmakers or fans and audiences who will be looking at how we today look at, अच्छा वो 50s में दिलीप कुमार तो थे, मतलब तो when people will talk in 2100 about 2000s or late 90s, then they will come up with, they will open the Pitara and see Shah Rukh Khan films, and then Kabhi Haan Kabhi Naa would still probably stand the test of time, and it will still warm hearts and still bring tears of joy in people's eyes, I hope.
Just one rapid fire question. You have a green signal from Shah Rukh Khan to star in your film. What kind of film would it be?
I think I'll end up making a documentary about him. Because he's just too funny, and I don't know where to put him, because and I'm not sure even he would want to work with me, because he's already working with such big directors. But if he says that, yeah, Hardik, I want to work with you, then I'll say that, so let's make a documentary. I think I'll make a charming documentary, and you are such a charming personality.
And he has led such a full life that the documentary would be glorious. Yeah. So, thank you so much, Hardik. This was great. I'm so glad that I got to chat about this film, which is a favorite of mine, with somebody who adores the film as much. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I hope this was worth your time too.
Really, really loved it.
Thank you.
If you liked the episode, do spread the word about this episode and the podcast on social. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to your pods. Also, please do rate and review the podcast when you get a chance. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at loveofcinemasf8. Feel free to reach out there or by email with your comments, feedback, and suggestions. You can find my email in the episode notes. That's the episode. This is Himanshu signing off. And as always, thank you for listening to the Love Cinema podcast.